What if you were chosen to build a giant boat to survive the biggest storm the world has ever seen? A boat so big it could hold your whole family pairs of every single animal on Earth. It sounds like a fairy tale, doesn't it? But you know, this is a true story. A story about a man who trusted God with his whole heart, even when it seemed impossible. It is the story of Noah, a man who lived a very long time ago. He was a good man, a kind man who loved God and tried to do what was right every single day. He talked with God and listened to what God had to say, like a friend talking to a friend. Noah was like a single bright star shining in a very dark night sky. The world back then was not a happy place. It had become noisy and full of shadows. People had stopped listening to God. They filled their hearts with mean thoughts, their hands with hurtful things. They forgot about being kind and gentle. They forgot about loving each other. It was as if everyone had decided to live in their own little world, a world without God, and it was making everything sad and broken. This made God's heart very sad. So God spoke to Noah. He shared his secret plan, the one that would save Noah and his family from the great sadness that was coming. "Noah," God said, with a voice that was both powerful and gentle, "I am going to wash the world clean with a great flood of water. Everything will be new again. But I want to save you. I want you to build me a boat." It wasn't just any boat. It had to be a huge boat, a giant floating house called an ark. God gave Noah the exact plans, like a perfect blueprint. Very long, very wide, very tall, with rooms inside and a big door on the side. He told him to cover it all over with sticky tar so no water could get in. Noah listened carefully to every single word God said. Why a boat when there is no water? How can I build something so big? He simply trusted. Genesis chapter 6, verse 22 tells us, Noah did everything just as God commanded him. He and his sons, Shem, Ham, Japheth, got to work. Imagine the sound of hammers and saws day after day for a very long time. They chopped down tall gopher wood trees and sawed them into long, straight planks. They fitted them together piece by piece, building the giant frame of the ark. People probably came to watch, pointing and laughing. Noah building a boat in the middle of dry land. But Noah kept on working, his heart set on obeying God. Then came the next part of God's amazing plan. He told Noah, I want you to bring your wife, your sons, and their wives into the ark with you. And you must also bring animals, not just a few animals, but 2 of every kind, a boy and a girl. And for some special clean animals, he was to bring 7 pairs. Imagine the incredible parade. From every corner of the world, the animals began to come. The tall giraffes with their long necks, the mighty elephants with their floppy ears, the slow-moving turtles, and the slithering snakes. The lions and the lambs, the bears and the bunnies, all came walking peacefully, 2 by 2, toward the giant wooden boat. Noah and his family opened the huge door of the ark and welcomed them all inside. The air was filled with a chorus of chirps, roars, and squeaks as the animals found their cozy spots inside the massive vessel. Every creature that crawls, flies, or walks found a safe place within the ark's strong walls. Noah made sure they all had food and water for the long journey ahead. He had followed God's instructions perfectly. The ark was full, the door was ready to be shut, and Noah's family was safe inside. For 7 days they waited inside the ark. All was quiet. The sun shone just as it always had. Perhaps Noah's family wondered if the rain would ever come, but Noah's faith did not waver. He had trusted God this far, and he would continue to trust him. Then, on the 7th day, God himself shut the great door of the ark, sealing them safely inside. The sky began to change, bright blue to dark, heavy gray. A deep rumble echoed, and the first drop of rain fell. Then another, and another, until it was a steady drumming on the roof. It wasn't just a little shower, a storm like no one had ever seen. The fountains of the great deep burst forth. The floodgates of the heavens were opened. Water came up from the ground. Water poured down from the sky. It rained and rained and rained. For 40 days and 40 nights the downpour did not stop. The little streams became rushing rivers. The rivers became giant lakes. Water rose higher and higher, covering fields and hills. The ark, once resting on the ground, began to float. It gently lifted, rocking on the rising water, a safe, sturdy haven. Inside the ark, Noah and his family were safe and dry. They heard the constant drumming and rushing water, but they were not afraid. They knew God was with them. They cared for the animals, feeding and comforting them. The lions lay down near the lambs. All the creatures lived in peace. A small, floating world of hope, a testament to God's promise and Noah's obedience. They were carried along on the very waters that were washing the world clean, protected by the boat that faith had built. After many, many months, God remembered Noah and all the living things with him in the ark. He sent a gentle wind to blow over the waters, and slowly, very slowly, the flood began to go down. He sent out a dove, but it could not find a single dry place to land, so it returned to the ark, and Noah reached out his hand and brought it back inside. Noah waited 7 more days. He sent the little dove out a second time. This time, as evening approached, the dove returned, and in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. It was a sign of hope. A green, living leaf meant that the water had gone down enough for the trees to appear again. Noah now knew for certain that the ground was dry. He rolled away the heavy covering of the ark's door and looked out. He saw dry land. After more than a year inside the floating house, it was finally time. God spoke to Noah and said, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives." With hearts full of thankfulness, Noah and his family stepped out of the ark onto the fresh, clean earth. The air smelled sweet and new. The animals came out too, blinking in the bright sunlight. They stretched their legs and began to spread out across the land, ready to fill the world once again. The first thing Noah did was build an altar to thank God. He wanted to show God how grateful he was for his protection, for his promise, and for this new beginning. It was a beautiful moment of worship, the first one in this new world, offered by a family whose faith had saved them. God was pleased with Noah's thankful heart, and he made a wonderful promise not just to Noah, but to all of us. Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, and never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. He painted a beautiful, colorful arch across the clouds, a rainbow. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth, God said. So now, every time we see a rainbow after the rain, it is not just a pretty sight, it is a reminder.